Welcome into PFF HQ. Austin Gayle here with senior analyst Steve Palazzolo. We are talking training camp, specifically holdouts. Several names, several big names holding out of training camp. I want to start with the Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott. Obviously here at PFF, we are heavily looking into the value of running backs. Talk to me about this Ezekiel Elliott holdout and the impact it could potentially have on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, most of our research does say the impact of running backs is not great. However, when you look at the Cowboys and Zeke Elliott, he is a big part of that running game. It's not a huge loss. I mean, they don't want to not have Zeke there, but I also don't think they want to pay him big money, especially with Dak Prescott, with Amari Cooper, with other, rising stars on the defensive side of the ball. So I do think eventually they're going to pay Zeke Elliott, but if they can take a step back just a little bit and say, look, we've got the number 2 offensive line that we've graded here at PFF. Dak Prescott is going to be more of the engine than Zeke is in that offense. Maybe they could deal with not having Zeke Elliott.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he's worth that big money.
And the Ezekiel Elliott conversation is larger than are running backs replaceable or is their production replaceable? It's the Dallas Cowboys have a lot of guys they need to pay right now. Dak Prescott looming on a contract year, Byron Jones, Amari Cooper, who they traded a first-round pick for. It's not just is the running back position valuable, but is Zeke valuable enough to potentially lose some of these other very valuable guys that affect the passing game significantly. Staying at running back, Los Angeles Chargers are without Melvin Gordon. He is also holding out. Similar conversation, but the Chargers don't have looming contracts to go with. Maybe they can afford a guy like Melvin Gordon. What's your take on him?
Yeah, it's a slightly different situation too because the Chargers' offensive line isn't very good. And if you look at what Melvin Gordon did last year, I tweeted last year, I said, look, he's as good as Todd Gurley. And I got some, hey, I agree with you, and I got some, LOL, Steve, what are you talking about? But they have, from a production standpoint, been very similar the last 2 years outside of touchdowns. And we've talked about running back production and touchdowns being very dependent on just your offense and opportunity. And Todd Gurley has 3 times as many inside the 5 carries as Melvin Gordon. So they are very similar as players, but Gordon's done it behind a lesser offensive line against stacked boxes, our highest graded guy in those 8-man boxes. So maybe he is a little bit more valuable to that Chargers offense. We did see Austin Eckler do a really nice job in a part-time role last year, both running the ball and catching it. So again, running back is the most replaceable position in the NFL, but don't hate Gordon in that offense and what he brings above and beyond that offensive line.
Moving away from running back position, I want to talk Michael Thomas, him not reporting to training camp in New Orleans, a guy we really, really like. I did an article on him recently talking about he had the best 3-year start in the PFF era from a grading standpoint. He means a lot to the passing game. He is very valuable. This is a guy New Orleans wants to pay soon. Am I right?
Yeah, they have to. I mean, and I think they're going to. I do think that they're realizing, look, they're going all in for Drew Brees, whether it's this year, next year, however long it takes, with Drew Brees before he ends up retiring. And Michael Thomas is the clear number 1, catching 86% of his targets last year. Short, intermediate, deep game, he does it all. And the receiver depth behind him is very questionable. So I think the Saints realize he's the guy, he's the catalyst, along with Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield. You've got a couple of mismatched guys. So Michael Thomas, obviously, key to that offense.
And it's more than just his value as well. Amari Cooper needs an extension soon. Julio Jones is looking for an extension. You want to get ahead of those guys so that way you're not resetting the market after Cooper and Jones sign their contracts. I think Michael Thomas, if New Orleans wants him at its cheapest point, would have to go sooner rather than later. Going to Trent Williams in Washington. This is a little bit of a contract dispute and among other things. Trent Williams, though, means a lot to this Washington Redskins offensive line that is going to need him healthy in 2019 to have success.
Yeah, potentially a big loss here. Trent Williams, a couple years removed from being our highest graded left tackle. He's definitely dealt with some injuries and a little bit of a drop off in performance. But when you talk about left tackles in the NFL, he's certainly a top 5 caliber type of player. Excellent run blocker, excellent pass blocker. And I think for the Redskins, it's about what do they have behind him. They already, when he's there, they have a pretty solid all-around offensive line, but immediately when he's not there, some major, major question marks. So I think Washington really wants to get that sorted sooner rather than later.
Yeah, going to pass rusher Yannick Ngame, Jacksonville Jaguars, a guy that wasn't really coveted coming out of the draft, but he's proven to be a very good pass rusher in the NFL. He's looking for a new contract. Jacksonville desperately wants this guy to sew up that pass rush for them. Yeah,
and when you look at the Jags, so much of their game is predicated on having so many different types of rushers that can get after the quarterback. He's your speed rusher, a guy that can beat very good left tackles with his speed off the edge. We saw that the last couple of years. Number 10 in total pressures last season. Not great against the run, but he's not getting, or doesn't want to get paid even for that. He's getting paid to rush the passer. So took a bit of a hit last year in PFF grade as far as his down-to-down efficiency went last year, but he has emerged into one of the better, pure edge rushers in the entire NFL. So I do think Jacksonville wants to keep that nucleus together because they've been so good, not only covering on the back end, but rushing the passer with a whole plethora of good rushers the last couple of years.
And that pass rush has so much, potential if Yannick Ngame gets signed. You have Calais Campbell kicked back inside, and they drafted the highest graded pass rusher from a year ago in the college level in Josh Allen. A lot of potential there if Yannick Ngame gets under contract. For more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to PFF's YouTube channel or go ahead and go to the site at pff.com.